Hey sports fans, how you doing? This is Phil Fiumano, and I'm here with one-on-one interview with Brian Catman Cataquet. How you doing, Brian?
Hello, Phil. Nice
Cool.
to be here.
Nice. All right, so let's get started.
We got to get collecting back.
would
This
be
is what
good.
we're trying to do here. We're trying to make
yeah.
awareness, and I appreciate you
Yeah.
working with me and making awareness of our national pastime
Because I
hobby.
used to do that all the time as a kid. I used to love collecting baseball cards, and I'd love to just make sure that I had everybody's card. And I used to even at Burger King, they had the cards, the Yankee cards, remember?
yes.
And you went there and you collected a set of Yankee cards.
Yeah, Yankee Burger King.
It was like
1981. They made
yeah,
it.
it gave you. All right, I can go to Burger King and get the set of baseball cards, and you collect them all. It was
Even
fun.
the cereal
It
boxes.
was fun.
The
Yeah, the
cereal
cereal
boxes,
used
the
to give you.
Hostess cakes.
Even if they give you a collectible baseball card, let's say today, if they did that with some cereal, that would be nice. Like to bring that back. Back in the day, they did Cracker Jack. Remember, you used to get a nice little toy
yes.
surprise. Now they give you a little piece of paper. It doesn't even have no significant value and a kind of collectible to it. You
And
know
the
what I mean?
Cracker Jacks go back to 1914. They
There you
made
go.
Cracker Jack cards, 1914 and 1915. 19
Kellogg's used to have the cards.
Kellogg's
Remember they had those three-dimensional cards?
3Ds, you're right, exactly.
I showed you a
have-
couple of those,
Yes,
too,
I have
right?
complete sets of those. Those are, I mean, Kellogg's, I think the first year Kellogg's was 73, was it? The first time they issued 3D
Right.
cards?
Okay, name some of your discoveries, your card discoveries that you discovered.
Well, this is how I got my name in the business. I'm 35 now. When I was 19, I
Right.
started discovering old cards. I've discovered the 1936 Pittsburgh Sun telegraphic stamps. They were unknown until I discovered them. I discovered them back in 1997. I discovered dozens and dozens. I can't think of every one.
How'd you discover them? Let's say.
I just always had an eye. I had an eye for the oddball vintage cards,
Right.
and they would always appeal to me, and I would just buy them from dealers, or when I saw something very oddballish, unique that I haven't seen through the price guides, I would just pick them up for my collection, and then I would come home and I would try to find the price guide, try to find the prices on them, and I couldn't
Right.
find them. So then I did some research on them.
That's
and
how
I
you
found
know
out-
you kind of discovered.
I discovered,
that, right?
yeah. And then I started discovering, that was my pursuit when I
Right.
was from 19 to 23. That was my pursuit, finding unknown cards. And then I would photocopy the card, send it to the hobby publications. And then they would
list
credit
it.
me with my discovery, and they were right
That's
about
nice.
they were right about me. So I've discovered dozens of vintage
Are they
card issues.
are they valuable? Did they become valuable? Like if any one of them became valuable that you discovered?
Well, all my cards that I've discovered, I discovered probably
Right.
30 or 40 issues. I sold them all personally,
Right.
but it depends on the typical collector. I mean, sometimes you never know what the psyche is of a buyer. If he needs that card for a set and it's the first one, you never know how much they're going to pay for it.
Talking about selling and the internet is so big now. Talk about the web and how it affected you in the card market with the internet now. I mean, it must be great for you, with the internet. It makes things like you can get to the whole world. Go ahead, talk about that. Go ahead.
The internet, definitely a benefit. In the past, you would run advertisements in print and in the newspapers and magazines that would circle the 50 states, and collectors will call you to buy a card. That's how we did business. But now everything's done on email. It helps, because when you put a card up online, it's seen all over the world. So I've been able to develop clientele overseas. I have clients in England. I have clients in Japan.
You work with eBay, right?
I do stuff on eBay.
Amazon. You could do work
Yes,
with.
also on
Amazon.
my website, on briancataquet.com.
That's it.
So it's helped me market myself and my business over to other countries, which was actually
Going
beneficial.
on a lot of talk shows. You've been on my show a couple of times. You appeared on my New York Rocks program, but also you appeared with other interviewers that had interviewed you about the card collecting. That helps a lot. And besides, you did a couple commercials too. So
Yep.
talk a little bit about that. How getting out there, you getting yourself out there and on TV and making commercials. How's that benefit you?
Well, the first thing I want to do is, I want kids to really get involved in collecting again, like I did. It's a lost hobby, and yes, I've been all over New York City doing public
appearances.
Speaking about the card industry, I've been on the Yes Network. I've been on Sportsnet New York with my television commercials for baseball. PBS recently they have a show called History Detectives. Right. One of the producers called me up for advice.
You're very involved. That's what's good. You're very driven, and you got a passion for collecting and passion for what you do. You actually made a hobby. It was a hobby for you. And you made it into a career, and you love what you do, and it shows. It shows yes. Because that's what I do. My show, I love what I do.
You do very well, and you do a very good job hosting, and you know your stuff.
It's fun. It's fun. When it ain't fun no more, that's when you stop doing it. But you know what? I'll never stop doing it because I always have fun. It's great collecting. It's great, getting out there and helping people and talking about careers and interviewing and stuff. So
I mean, if you love baseball, this has to be the best job. You wake up every day, you pick up a baseball card.
Who doesn't really like sports? I mean, every young kid out there. I mean, it's such a great outlet, to get going. All right, so let's get back to, let's say, a tip on buying a card. You want to buy a card. Give the people out there, the sports fans, the sports collectors, a tip on buying a card. What would they need to do?
Well,
buying a card. Let's say a famous card or any kind of card. Go ahead.
Right. If you go into a card show or to an auction, you're going to spend money. You're going to spend a lot of money on a baseball card. Mm-hmm. You got to be careful because here's one tip. I can't give away all my tips because the business is very competitive.
Right.
Here's one tip. If you approach a dealer's table and you're going to spend money on a baseball card, what one should do is you should always carry one of these in your pocket. Because there's a lot of cards that have been tampered with in a negative way. What I mean by tampered with is they've been trimmed. Trimming on a card is to make the card more presentable. Like, let's say if the card has the edges bent, has the edges rounded. Sometimes there's techniques that people use to trim a card to make it more presentable and call it mint.
Right.
So to the eye, if you're not aware, you can get ripped off.
Sure.
So here's one tip. Carry one of these around you, and you should actually...
So there you go.
One of these around.
Not everybody knows that.
No, this is one tip. And you should know the actual size. The normal actual size of a baseball card is a 2.5 by 3.5 size. And before you spend, you're going to buy the card, especially if the card is worth a lot of money. You're spending a lot of money.
And all the years, let's say,
there's average size from 1957 through present the average size, because there's different shapes and sizes, especially tobacco cards were very small.
Tell the folks again the size. Just
2.5 by 3.5 is the average size of a baseball card from 1957 to present. Right. Again, there's exceptions because there's different types of cards that were made, and you should measure the card. If the card measures 2.5 by 3.5, then you're buying a legitimate card. If it doesn't measure, then you know the card can be either trimmed or there's something that's called off-center.
It could be counterfeited, too.
It could be counterfeited, but there's ways to check for counterfeit cards. There, you turn the back of the card and you have to check for little spots. There's different ways with magnifying glasses. You get into that when you're spending a lot of money.
When you're
on
a real
cards.
collector, when you get up to that level and stuff.
There's different ways to find. That's a different thing, but you want to make sure that the card measures to size, so you know you're not buying a trim card or a card that's off-centered, and maybe you can tell the dealer that's selling you the card, look, I found this problem, I can't pay this price for this card. So that's one tip.
There you go.